We are sending data to the internet.
Yes.
Hello, people of Twitter. I'm going to check if it's actually on Twitter.
It does look correct on Twitter.
Awesome. Did I actually spell your name right? I did.
Should have brought it back for like the last episode.
I'm going to just tweet while we wait. One last episode to make it gold. Sparkles. If Sparkling Robot wasn't already a person, like my transition would have been to like Sparkling Sugar Robots or something, but it's too late.
By your powers combined.
Right? We should have like a combined name.
Well, yeah, this is your chance to start that new podcast. Tara.
Not specifically for Tara, but I was having shower thoughts yesterday where I was like, how am I going to apply all of this need to communicate things and like be on a thing? And David Needham is always like, you should just be a streamer. But I'm also like, that's a lot of work. You actually have to play the games. But I was thinking here, I think we have 6 viewers, so I'll stop sharing.
Right.
I was thinking I'll do like a Twitter newsletter, and I'll call it, here it is, Excerpts from Candyland. And really it'll be like tech, but also like really good food I ate. And maybe I just used a bubble tea making kit. And also I like to read books aloud. So maybe it'll be like a paragraph from the book I'm reading. And then I can do like dramatic book readings and then like upload it to the newsletter. So I haven't checked if review supports like, and here's the companion podcast for this newsletter. But that I was doing all of that thinking. Like, this is the last episode of Bolts and Bites for me, and like how can I continue to apply this skill and also this like passion? But we'll see.
Well, welcome everyone, and you're probably hearing a little spoiler for what we're going to be announcing. And so maybe you're wondering what's going on, but we're going to jump in. So yeah, I'll let you kick it off there, Fatima.
Yeah, welcome to Bolts and Bites. This is a live stream production brought to you by Pantheon's developer advocacy team.
And this is our weekly series. We usually share what's new in the open source communities, updates on stuff that we're working on here at Pantheon.
Also chat events, developer tools, and spotlight our community. At the end of the show, we always share a collection of links to all of the things we discussed so that you can continue reading and sharing the things that we shared with you.
And if you were joined us early, then you've probably already heard we've got some big news. And so the first piece is, this is the last episode of the year before the show goes on hiatus with Thanksgiving, the holiday season coming up, and some other things helped us make this decision. But also, if you haven't heard it already,
tomorrow is my last day at Pantheon. Yeah. Yes. But if you don't know us, I'm Fatima.
And I'm John. And this might be the last time that you'll see us co-hosting for a while, as Fatima is stepping away to a new role. But that leads us into some celebrations as well.
Yeah, Sir John Richards II over here. Just saying that sounds really funny. Sorry, John. So actually a Sir, but he is John Richards II. Got promoted to Sir John Richards III. That's actually what was on the slide during the promotion kickoff, like weekly kickoff meeting. Turns out it's a typo that happens over the years, so John's like pretty much used to it. But John is now the manager of developer advocacy. My notes say to call it the manager secretariat of the developer advocacy relations. But yeah, congratulations, John. I'm really excited for you. It's been really great to work with you. You know this. And I am excited to, see where the team goes in next year. I feel like it's a real fresh start.
Yes, thank you so much. But also in incredibly sad news for me personally, but also incredibly exciting news. Fatima is leaving us to join GitLab's developer evangelism team. And it's going to be really cool for her. She's going to be working in a lot more open source communities, doing some amazing stuff. So we're We're celebrating though at this time because it's an amazing opportunity. They are very lucky to have Fatima on their team.
Thanks, John. I am thrilled and also nervous because it is a developer evangelist role, but it has a focus on community liaison and community coordination and things like that. And so it's a little bit like all of the volunteer work that I've been doing thus far in my career may become a part of my role. And so I'm curious to see where that goes and excited that, there's a company that puts that in your job description. So maybe you'll have me on your guest as a guest on a future, whatever Bolts and Bytes 2022 is going to look like.
Yes, definitely. Would love to have you back, of course, as the honorary founder of. I
was just thinking that like this show is like a end of the year wrap up, looking forward to next year highlights kind of thing. And it's funny because today is November 18th. I don't know if anyone is doing end of the year wrap ups just yet. So we might be the first. And I don't think I've ever been the first to do an end of the year wrap up. But here's news to you. Like if time has no meaning, then you should do your end of year wrap up whenever you want. So
12 months before wrap up. Or us saying,
let's just wrap up 2022 as well, just in case.
I like it.
Side pitch. If you're looking for a refund on 2019 and 2020, that's 2020, 2021, and 2019, plus or minus 1 year. That's a project that I'm working on at the Bad Idea Factory, where you can just input the time of the pandemic that you want a refund on, and then it'll print you out like an actual paycheck for the refund, like not real money, but you can keep that in the wallet. And anytime someone's like, what did you do last year? You're like, excuse me, I have a refund.
That is great. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just skip those. We won't worry about them. Get that refund if you can, and do everything.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You can introduce the tech showcase, as I forgot to sign into my Notion. So we're gonna have a little bit of technical difficulties here.
Before I do that, I did want to highlight, so we are going to do some recapping for 2021. There is some upcoming stuff, so just a quick shout out.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of as we move into the last month of the year. So in December, Pantheon will be running a gift of open source. So check that out. If you haven't already, go register. It's a chance to give back to the community, to be involved in a bunch of different cool things going on, and lots of giveaways and swag and things like that. So check out the gift of open source on Pantheon. We did it last year. It was a ton of fun. And then in some WordPress
the state
news,
of the word.
2021 is happening December 14th. So check that out if you get a chance to hear. We'll hear a little bit about the direction and maybe some Web 3.0. We'll see.
It does say that it's online for the first time ever, and it'll be live streamed from New York City. So that's pretty cool. I hope that they continue to live stream that regardless of venue. And it's always nice to be able to pull people in that can attend.
As somebody who organized Wordcamp, right before things went down, the prep work for this is pretty intense because it's meant to be live, because we want to make sure people have real questions and it doesn't feel like it's filtered. You also have to be like, anybody can say anything. Like, how do we handle crazy situations and what do you do? So
got it.
It's really
clearly I haven't watched a state of the word.
I don't know how much that translates, but once you realize, like, you watch the state of the word for the drama, you're like, all right, somebody's going to come with an off the wall question, and we get to see Matt Mullenweg try to spin on the spot and figure out how he wants to answer it. So that's what I'm.
You heard it here first, folks. You watch State of the Word for the drama. So join us for the drama on December 14th. And now for our next story.
Yes. So
I jumped the gun, but highlights from 2021.
So this one I'm super excited about. Again, on the theory of basically any app that Fatima uses turns out to be amazing and changes my life. Our app of the year is Notion, and we've got some crazy stories around, or a few crazy stories around this. So Fatima, you want to kick us off with how you got involved, heard about Notion, and then
yeah, so we have the craziest story that started in Grand Rapids, Michigan a couple of months ago. But Notion, for those of you who aren't familiar, is an app that blends all of your note-taking software into one. So it's like note-taking, task management, project management. I really love that it has like databases support, and it's got what I guess you would call like linking, where, you know, you can have multiple databases, you can join them and have relational attributes. I think it's really great. I found it, I think like 2 years ago, I was looking for, as I do, like a new app. I was just like, has the world of note-taking apps changed, and should I be using something different? Like this is what I do. I go down like a productivity hole every few months where I'm like, is there anything better, or are you the one? So I just like, I reevaluate my applications. And I found Notion, and there were all these like Notion ambassadors who were people who were putting out templates. And so you can like structure it in different ways. There were people who were like organizing their entire lives on Notion, like a personal dashboard with like weekly check-ins. There were people who are like in school and putting all of their coursework in Notion. And I was like, wow, this does so many things. I must use it. And then we were in Grand Rapids with the team, John, and I think it was like 10 p.m. or something, and we were all like hanging out on the patio, and I was like, yeah, I use this app called Notion, and Matt Cheney was telling us about how he had a lot of stuff in Trello, and I was like, so Notion's really cool. I showed it to him on my phone. I was like, I just make databases for, I think the particular use case that I showed him was all of my packing lists, and they're sorted, and they're like tagged by work or family or fitness. So like, am I going to go to the gym or not? And then they're tagged by weather. And so like, I have an inventory of all of my clothes. And so like, based on the weather, so I'll copy a list from like Grand Rapids if I'm going to another like slightly hot summer location, but for work, and it'll be like blue dress with flowers on it, and like literally the packing list is so explicit, and it'll just like brown hijab, like so that I don't have to think. I just like duplicate the list. And so whenever you forget something, you just add it to the new list, and then you duplicate it later and it's there. Anyways, long spiel. I really love Notion. I'm going to go ahead and share what we put together as like version 1.0 of Notion. So this is Notion in the browser. You also have a desktop app. It pretty much looks the same. Each thing on Notion is like a page, and you can have all these different components, and you can like move them around. So we have this little like call to action component that I put together that, you know, you can move. You can make it like a 2-column layout, which I particularly love. And then you can have multiple projects. You can see here my 2021 career hunt. As well as like my sessions roster and like applications for grad school and Drupal diversity. And so I just have a bunch of like, whenever I see a really good template, sometimes I pay for them. Like I have no shame. I pay for pretty templates because designers know what they're doing. I just save them here in the private section, and then I'll use them later. Before I show you that, here's a database of episodes, and each episode is its own page. I realize like John hasn't said a word. I'll let you speak as I scroll, John.
No, I mean, it turned out to be an amazing tool. The templates were awesome. I love just like being able to build out my notes in here and tagging them, and the way it like tracks all of them together. So I was like, well, this can't be that amazing. So she showed this to our co-founder, and he had this incredibly extensive tool that he was using to track everything. And then overnight, the next morning we wake up and find out he's like not slept a wink the entire night. He's been moving everything about his life into Notion because it was like, this is amazing. And so we wake up like the next day, and now Matt Cheney
Matt's like all in.
knows more about it than any of us. So we're like, oh, okay, well, this is the future. And then since then, we were partnering with another group who happens to be friends with Matt Cheney, and now their project's portfolio has all moved into Notion for managing it. And so the Notion sprawl is very real. Check it out. So.
Yeah, you can check it out at Notion, NOTION.SO, but we'll share a link as well. The funniest thing, John, was a couple of weeks after the retreat, Matt sent me a message and he was like, check out what I did. And he had built like a custom integration to migrate all of his data from the previous tool he was using into Notion, into a database. And I was like, with a very special formula, like he's got a very complicated formula for prioritizing things. And it's like a little bit random, but a little bit weighted based on like data. And I was just like, bro, you have surpassed, like Grasshopper. You have now become a hero, like I was like, I don't even know like that this was going to grow. Like you are now my Notion expert. So yeah, I highly recommend it. There is a free version up to a certain amount of storage. And then they also have education-based plans. So if you're still school or studying or doing a master's, like that's a great tool to use in the meantime.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
That was a really long Notion spiel. You can tell how much we love this tool by how much we talk about it. But yeah, next up, we wanted
multiple times in previous episodes too. So I'm glad we got to close out with the.
It was always like, should we share Notion? And then we'd be like, we should share that. We should keep that for another episode where we really need something cool. Yeah.
All right. So up next, so this is our highlights ultimate countdown, but you might be a little disappointed. You shouldn't be, because our countdown is only one. So we're going to be talking about things, but mostly just talking about our favorite things in that category versus like a top 10 list. And so, so Notion won for both of us, like app of the year was the big win, even though Fatima's been using it longer than 1 year, but she's still top tier. Up next, Pantheon put out some updates this year. And so talking a little bit about favorite in that space. So
highlights of Pantheon updates, not autopilot. Sorry, John, what was your favorite Pantheon improvement of the year?
It would be, I think, integrated composer. So I've been pretty excited about.
Oh my God, I heard your Slack. Busted. My laptop access is going to happen right now. All right, go ahead. Integrated composer.
Yes. So I really, I like what it's doing. And, I'm coming from a WordPress perspective. I know Composer is big already in the Drupal world, but I think Composer is really helpful for WordPress teams doing professional development. And we have quite a few that use it. And so the idea of being able to skip the step of needing to do a bunch of build process with a CI tool, and being able to do it on the platform. I just was talking to a group yesterday, a university, and they were talking about their deploys are so much faster now because they're just pushing up like 2 or 3 config files and then it just runs. So it's pretty handy. And again, it's less about like, oh, well, you could do Composer before, but it's really about what this will empower us to do. And so as we see new tooling put on top of this, doing more of that delivery piece inside the platform is exciting to me. So.
Yeah, that definitely sounds empowering. I'm really glad that came out this year. I think that was on the books for several years. Since we're having this like reflective episode, I remember a moment where Greg Anderson came to our DevRel retreat in like February 2020, like just when I'd started the team, and was talking and talking through this diagram of the proposed integrated composer stuff. And he was like, this is how it's going to affect build tools. And I was like, what is this? And it's like really cool that we're talking about customers who are benefiting from it now. And like, it's roughly been 2 years, but I still think like having both of those memories, I'm like, wow, that's a huge, improvement in the time that I've been here, not just this year.
Yeah, it's wild to think about like product life cycle. It actually takes a while for new things to roll out. So you're like hearing about it, and it's like, oh, this is real now? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
The other highlights we wanted to share were events. So there've been a lot of events happening this year, mostly virtual, but also some in person. And I wanted to be like, I gave a lot of cool talks this year. So that's it. That's the TED Talk. I did the magical art of storytelling at DevRelCon. That was like widely positively received. So that's definitely going to have to be a series. I hope you're watching GitLab. And the Sorcerer's Spell book, the pandemic edition at DrupalCon Europe, was highly popular as well. I ran out of time because people were just so engaged via the chat. But I think that's because people just like tools, and I really like tools. And so that talk is a lot about like, here are all the tools you can use. Like some of these recordings will be available soon. So follow me on Twitter and I will share them when they are.
Yeah, I want to be like, you like tools? I didn't know that. Tell me more. It's like, oh no, you've read everything. So yes, you should definitely check that out. And the storytelling one, when it is ready, it was really good. I got to catch it live. Excellent. So go check it out. If you are interested in speaking at all, it's really great. And then the other piece, like there was giving talks, but then there was also getting to like go to some events as like figured out safety precautions and things like that. And so it was really cool to get to meet Fatima in person and be at All Things Open together. And so for me, like in events, it was less than, it was like the only one. So it's easy to be like, right. Oh, best in-person event of 2021.
All Things Open.
But
I was gonna say, like, I had never seen the back of John's head, and so that was something that I like realized when you turned around. I was like, "That's right. People have like full 360 bodies."
Yeah. So I'm really hopeful. There's a lot of we've talked about in a couple other episodes. A lot of different events being announced for 2022. So hopeful that for some in-person activity that is safe. So we'll see how that develops.
I'm really looking forward to. I know there's some events coming up in like February, March, and I'm hoping that there are safe ways for everyone, or for everyone who is able to join events. And then for more highlights, I really wish we did a top 10 now that I'm thinking, but whatever. It was too early to figure out a end of the year wrap-up show. Book highlights. I thought we would be nerds for a second and share books that we really liked. And one of the books I really think it has been relevant to my 2 years at Pantheon is called No Hard Feelings, The Secret Power of Embracing Emotions at Work. And it's this funny interactive guide. It's written by Liz and Molly. And I think their website is like lizandmolly.com. And it's about like learning to not repress your emotions at work, but also like finding constructive ways for those emotions to show up, and like finding ways to communicate how you're feeling in order to like do better as a team. And so they have these like really fun illustrations about like very relatable moments and diagrams, but then there's also like long form reading and things like that. And there is this one diagram that they posted earlier in September that I really like, and I wanted to go ahead and share that. And so it's like when we should take a break, and that's when your gas mileage, energy, whatever it is, your meter is like going towards empty. And when we actually take a break, it's completely empty. So this is like your friendly reminder that like, don't push yourself to empty and then expect yourself to continue to drive this car. I definitely did that. And it takes infinitely long. What was it that Mary said to us at All Things Open? Like, it takes infinitely long for every day of burnout that you aggregate. And like, it's easy to aggregate it on empty, but it's very hard to like undo that. So No Hard Feelings, great book.
I love this diagram as somebody who has driven a vehicle to empty and then had to walk or figure out what happens. It's a great analogy for burnout and why it is important to start earlier rather than waiting till it's kind of almost too late. So yeah, great highlight. We'll have a link to their things in our link list at the end, so definitely check that out. For me, this year, I didn't do as much like different kinds of reading, but I recently got back into audiobooks, especially with some travel, being able to be like, oh, hey, pop in my audiobook and listen to it. And so nothing super wild, but I've gotten back into re-listening to the Dresden Files. It is I've read them before, like I have all the books, but now I'm going through the audiobooks because my friend tell me oh, they're amazing, and they are. It's a mix of like a noir detective mixed with like a world of magic set in modern day Chicago, and so it's a interesting, just it's not like a deep, like treatise on anything, but it is a really fun, like if you just want to relax and listen to something. My favorite thing about it is the blending of tons of different mythologies into like a cohesive world, and so it's fascinating to see how a world where they've brought in everything from fairies to vampires to Sasquatch to wizards in modern day, and trying to make that seem cohesive. Anyway, it's been enjoyable, and whenever I just want to relax, that's what I've been hitting up. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that sounds really great. I will check it out. I'm looking for books for my like off the grid week, and I will take a look. Also from our highlights, we want to talk about gaming experiences, because what's a show with Fatima and John without talking about games? We've got a reputation to uphold. John, it doesn't say that you have anything to share here.
So what I wanted to share was a gaming experience highlight with one of my good friends, John Wynn, who's been a co-host on this as well. And so
I'm about to lose my spot.
No, but we've been playing games online, and one of the problems I've found with like playing online is it often is hard to have as good an experience as it is in person. But we've had a couple really memorable moments. We were playing together with two other friends, and we were playing his favorite game, Marvel Champions. You've probably heard him talk about it if you've talked to John very much at all. It's a great game. But we were playing, and we were playing against one of the more difficult bosses, and we suddenly got in basically an unwinnable situation where our opponent had like 20 different things that were attacking us. If you ever play the game, like it's a lot to be dealing with like 3 or 4. So we were incredibly overwhelmed. And then we thought everything was done. We were like, we're going to have to wrap it up for the night. It's over. And then our one friend pulls out a card, which is the Hulk. Now, the Hulk is a gamble card. And so you put your deck knowing that like he may hurt you as well. You don't know what's going to happen. And so when you play this card, there's a random effect. You draw something, and depending on what you pull, he'll either do extra damage to your opponent. He might go away, but there is a 1 out of like 4 chance that you'll pull the option where he hits everything on the board, including you. And normally that's the worst thing. But these things we were fighting were little tiny minions with 1 health. So he pulls this card like on the really rare off chance, and then he plays it, and he lands this like 1 out of 4 chance on top of that to do 1 damage to everything, and cleared the entire board because all 20 of those minions wiped. We turned around and won. It was an amazing moment because we seconds before saying we're done, we should just quit and give up, and then he pulls this card, and like it's an epic moment. And so it was incredibly memorable moment. Even though it was virtual, we still had this like amazing highlight that kind of was a great experience with friends, and that we still talk about, obviously, because I'm talking about it right now.
The Hulk moment. Yeah. slow clap gif.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let that be the gaming highlight of 2021, John. That was beautiful. I was right there with you. All right, let's take a breather and talk about something a little bit different. And I added this to the agenda because I wanted to give John and his upcoming team a chance to talk about I called it plans for hibernation, but clearly you will not be hibernating. The show will be hibernating. But this team is going to be hard at work onboarding new people, and I'm giving away spoilers. So John, what are you going to be working on before you're back in January 2022?
Yeah, so we're excited. We've got 2 people coming on to the developer advocacy team, and we're going to be trying to figure out what Bolts and Bytes looks like going into next year. If anybody listening has like opinions, we would love to hear what you like or would like different. There's a lot of options of what can happen. So we'll be following up with news on that. But this will give us a chance to, reimagine some things. But, like this was... Fatima is like the ultimate person who put all of this together, really her brainchild. And so whatever it is will still be an homage to all the wonderfulness and planning. Like, no, unless you've joined a couple people have, unless you're in our company and join one of our planning huddles, it's really impossible to know how much planning Fatima puts in to make sure that these happen. It's amazing. And so we want to make sure like, oh yeah, without her influence, how do we make sure we keep up quality? So, but we've got some great people coming on board. We'll be looking into that. We'll also be celebrating Goose is Happening, that gift of open source that I mentioned earlier. Involved in that. So we'll still be out and producing some content, but we're hoping for kind of we'll figure out what happens in 2022 and what this looks like. So stay tuned and for some new and exciting changes.
Thanks, John. Thanks for all the shout outs. I appreciate it.
Well, they are absolutely...
I do have one piece of feedback for you. I think that there has to be intro music made by Steve Persh. Sparkles. That's my one thing. Like, you could change the name and change the show and do it in costumes. If you do it news style, I will probably be upset, but not that upset because I'll enjoy watching it. So like I won't be upset no matter what you do with the show, except if you don't have intro music from Steve Persh. And then like my magic card for the week, magic card is this like set of You Are Magic cards that I got in our like gift exchange last year from our CMO. Is my New Year's resolution is to leave room for magic. And so I pass that on to you. Like, continue to make the show magical. It doesn't have to be the things that I wanted it to be. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what you and the exciting new team, which I can't tell you who is, but I know will come up with.
I love that card. Thank you for sharing that. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love that this deck is random pick. Like, I just like reach in and pick one, and then when something comes out that's really relevant, I'm like, oh, the heart of the cards. And this Yu-Gi-Oh moment where I'm like, do I want to look? I reveal my magic card.
Yes, that's your Hulk pull.
It's my Hulk pull. Yes. No one's gonna get that unless they've seen this episode. Imagine going to GitLab and being like, team, I've got a Hulk pull. And they're gonna be like, what? And I'd be like, I'm gonna solve everything right now. You just don't realize it.
Well, that leads us into, we wanted to end as we head into Thanksgiving with a chance to talk a little bit about what we're thankful for.
Oh my God, so many things. Ice cream, first and foremost. Ice cream has done a very big service for me this past year. But also like Animal Crossing, all of my friends that played Animal Crossing, good coworkers who also became friends, like John and the other John and David and Tara and everybody who's been really supportive throughout, like, the transition period, but also just the like, I want to get another job, help. And then like I have these Zoom workout sessions with my trainer and friends. So all of these things have been really great. And I'm really grateful. Great and grateful. That is the new name of my podcast. These got me through the pandemic and like continue to get me through, it's been a tough year. So yeah.
Absolutely. I listed 3 F's for my thankfulness. So the first one is stealing their friends. Absolutely agree with that. Man, the last couple years have been very isolating. And if it wasn't for a lot of friends, even into this year, that have been there in lots of virtual ways that we could be, who knows where my mental health would be. But I'm so thankful for all of them. Second, it's a show, so I gotta give a shout out to all you fans out there. The three of you, but thank you all for following along and being a part of this. We appreciate it every time we hear from you. And just anybody who listens, this show only matters if people are listening and watching. So thank you for that. It's been a wild ride for 15 episodes. And then of course have to end with so thankful for Fatima, both on the show, but personally as well. We've been working together for quite a while, and we definitely trauma bonded it at some point. We have a lot of great memories together from events and our retreats and
go-karts. I totally beat you at go-karts.
You did. I tried so hard. I thought I had a lead, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere,
I was like, pedal to the metal. I'm showing these boys today.
Yes, so many amazing things. So I will have to stop because otherwise I'll get a little weepy. But Fatima, it's an amazing pleasure to work with you and do this show with you. It's been so much fun. So thank you.
I think this show is some of my best work. On that note, thank you, fans, for joining us for Bolts and Bites today.
If you've got questions or things to share, ideas about the show, things that you like, please feel free to reach out to us.
Seriously, now is a good time to get your word in and get scheduled for 2022. I mean, you could be on the inaugural show in January. So if you enjoyed this episode, give it a comment, give it a retweet. I'd love to hear any science fiction, fantasy, or like science and technology book recommendations, because I am going off the grid for a week and doing a lot of reading. So if you can get those in by tomorrow, then I'll put them on my list.
Yes, if you've got highlights from either events, books, things that you've experienced as well, we'd love to hear about those. Also, keep an eye out January 2022 for the next iteration of Bolts and Bites, and we'll see what's happening there. And then, Fatima, would you do us the honors of closing out our last show of 2021?
Oh my God, this is making me emotional. Yes, absolutely. It would be my honor. I'll see you around in all of the communities. Bye.